Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving into a problem that, let's be honest, every single one of us has had to deal with, the dreaded clogged drain. We're going to figure out the best ways to get things flowing again.
You know the feeling, right? You're at the kitchen sink or maybe you're in the shower and you look down and the water's just sitting there. It's so frustrating and it can totally throw a wrench in your day. But here is the good news. Figuring out how to fix it doesn't have to be some big mystery. That's exactly why we're here today, to break down your options so you can make a smart, informed choice and hopefully avoid a much bigger plumbing headache later on.
So, when you're staring down a clogged drain, you've basically got three main paths you can take. We're going to look at each one: the enzymatic route, the chemical route, and the mechanical one.
All right, let's get a quick bird's eye view of our three contenders. You've got enzymatic cleaners, which are all about using bacteria to do the dirty work. Then there are the chemical cleaners, the real heavy hitters using acids or alkalis. And finally, the mechanical methods, which are all about physically getting in there. As you can see right away, there's a real trade-off between how fast they work and how safe they are for your pipes.
So let's start with the first one, enzymatic cleaners. The best way to think of these is like a probiotic for your pipes. They introduce these good, beneficial bacteria that just slowly and steadily munch away at all that organic gunk like grease and food. It's definitely not a quick fix, but it's fantastic for regular maintenance. So the big takeaway here is that these are by far the safest option for pretty much any type of pipe. But, and this is a big but, they work very slowly. You're not going to pour it in and see an instant result. They're really best used as a preventative measure, especially in a kitchen sink where you're constantly dealing with grease.
Okay, next up, we have the heavy artillery, chemical cleaners. If the enzymatic cleaners are the gardeners, these are the demolition crew. They use these super powerful acids or alkalis to basically just dissolve whatever's in their way, fast.
And here is the classic trade-off, right? Yes, they work incredibly fast, especially on really stubborn stuff like a big clump of hair. But that raw power comes at a price. They can actually damage your pipes, particularly older metal ones. And the fumes they kick off are, well, they're pretty hazardous. You got to be really careful with these.
And finally, we have the hands-on approach, mechanical methods. This is your trusty old plunger or a drain snake. Instead of trying to dissolve the clog, these tools are designed to physically break it up or just pull it right out. It's about as direct as you can get.
The biggest win here? No harsh chemicals at all. These tools are reusable, which is great for your wallet, and they're completely safe for your pipes. The downside, of course, is that they require a bit of elbow grease, and they might not be able to reach a clog that's really, really deep down in your plumbing lines.
Okay, so we've met the players, we know the options, but how do you actually choose the right one for your specific problem? Well, let's walk through a really simple three-step process to help you decide. It really just boils down to this. Step 1, figure out where the clog is and what probably caused it. Is it the kitchen sink, which is likely grease, or the shower drain, which is almost certainly hair? Step 2, think about your plumbing. Do you have brand new PVC pipes, or are they older, more fragile metal ones? And then step 3, match your method. And here's the key. Always start with the safest, most direct option first. That usually means reaching for a plunger or maybe an enzymatic cleaner before you even think about the harsher stuff.
All right, before we go any further, we need to hit pause and talk about safety. And I want to be crystal clear here. This is probably the most important part of our whole chat because if you make a mistake here, it can be genuinely dangerous.
Think of these as the non-negotiables. First, always, and I mean always, read the label on any product you're thinking of using. Second, wear protective gloves and something to cover your eyes. Third, make sure you've got windows open or a fan on. You need good ventilation. And remember, those powerful chemical cleaners are an absolute no-go for metal pipes.
And please pay very close attention to this. Never, ever mix different chemical cleaners. You have no idea what kind of chemical reaction you could create, and it could release toxic gas. Also, pouring a powerful chemical into a drain that's already full of standing water, that's a recipe for disaster. All those fumes have nowhere to go but right back up into your face and into your home. This isn't just a friendly tip, it's a serious hazard.
Of course, the absolute best way to deal with a clog is to stop it from happening in the first place. So let's talk about a few simple habits and also how to recognize when you're in over your head and it's time to call in a professional. These little things can make a huge difference. After you do dishes, especially if it was a greasy meal, let the hot water run for a minute. Use those simple little mesh drain catchers to stop hair and food bits before they take a trip down your pipes.
And every so often, a quick flush with some baking soda and vinegar can be a great, mild, and safe way to keep things fresh.
But sometimes, that slow drain isn't just a bit of gunk. Sometimes it's actually a symptom of a much bigger, more serious problem with your home's entire plumbing system.
If you see any of these red flags, it's time to put the tools down and pick up the phone. Things like a persistent sewage smell that you just can't get rid of, or multiple drains in your house slowing down at the same time, or if you have standing water that just refuses to go down no matter what you do, these are all signs that point to a bigger problem that a bottle of drain cleaner just can't fix.
And that's really the bottom line here. Knowing your limits is so important. Trying to DIY a major sewer line or venting issue can cause thousands of dollars in damage. It's always smarter and always safer to just call a licensed plumber.
So that's the final thought I want to leave you with. The next time you see that water starting to back up, just take a second to think about it. Are you really just dealing with a simple clog, or is your house trying to send you a much more important message? It's definitely something to consider.